Soul Hackers 2 Final Game Review. Being a massive fan of Atlus games, I've played them all. Okay, not all, there's a lot. But Persona 5 Royal, SMT, some of my absolute favorite games of all time. I was super excited about Soul Hackers 2, another spin-off similar to Persona. And this was definitely a strange one considering the original was a 3DS title, but this gives Atlus another chance to put one of their lesser-known titles into the light of day, where the spin-off somehow ends up shining brighter than the original. No hate on SMT, I love SMT. Story is easily one of my favorite parts when it comes to Atlus games. 13 Sentinels, Persona, smash hit storylines. And Soul Hackers 2 is no different. They could write a book longer than the Bible, and I would be glued to my seat from start to end. However, there are a few weak points, but we'll get into those. Characters like Saizo, Arrow, Milady, and Ringo are our starring guests. Now, of course, right off the bat, it's kind of unfair to compare it to something like Persona, because in that game, character design and interaction is one of the main features of it. So I'm not going to dock at any points for not having some of the things that game has, but there is a good amount of character building. You go to this bar, and you could hang out with any of your teammates, depending on items that you've picked up, certain things that have happened in the story, and a lot of the conversations are so fluent. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems like they were all recording in the same studio, together, because a lot of them bounce off each other really well. The voice acting in general is just always top tier with these games. So the characters are well done, but how is the story itself? Well, right from the beginning cutscene, we immediately see every single character die. But through the power of a supercomputer android named Ringo, the other three are brought back to life. Ringo designed to protect humanity in very, very tiny shorts. I'm not going to spoil too much of the story just in case you guys want to play it, but be warned there will be a few spoilers in this. Essentially all you need to know going into it. There are these semen-looking things called Covenant. An evil Iron Man wants to take them, aka the Iron Mask. Because once he gets all the colors, and the only way that he can get these covenants is through killing the people that currently possess them, sometimes via cannibalism, getting shot in the head, or various other ways. So once he summons them all, he can summon the great hands of above and essentially recreate the world. So we're stopping the end of the world. Each person on your team has a reason for being there. Milady, her ex-lover is the Iron Mask, Saizo's ex-girlfriend is on the team, and Arrow's best friend is on the opposing team. It's not a bad story, it's definitely a little bit simpler than some of the other Atlus games that I've played. Essentially what I explained is the entirety of the story. It's ping-pong back and forth of who has the covenants, they go back and forth to whoever. Now here's where the spoilers come in. So one person that I have not mentioned thus far is Fig. She's the supercomputer friend and sister to Ringo. So big spoiler, Iron Mask is actually dead, killed by his rival Raven, who is in charge of the orphanage, which is actually just a underground operation for the Phantom Society, which is the main enemy team organization. Shit goes down, the team kills him, but Fig kind of had the hots for the guy. She tries to soul hack him and bring him back to life. He's like, nah, screw that. Fig then says, okay, well, screw the world. So after Fig goes super robo-bitch mode, she currently has all the covenants from the course of the story, but instead of summoning the great hands of justice, she sort of becomes the hands of justice, as she's essentially going to mind control the entire world and take away any sort of conflict. However, after the team essentially kicks the shit out of her, she dies, and then they all go home, and then Ringo reads a cookbook, and then everyone leaves. Okay, alright, turns out I got the bad end. Turns out, I guess, in the last dungeon, if you say the terrorist died for a good reason, they don't like that. So let's see what happens with the good end. Okay, so the true ending changes things up a bit. After Fig, the sister, is defeated, Arrow slaps Ringo's ass, making her soul hack into Fig, which we get a little bit more insight into Fig's character, which I quite like. Ringo realizes that she never really got to know Fig, so this is a good way of getting the two characters to connect at the end of the game. Ringo then has a heartfelt conversation with her sister. She then comes back, and then we basically have the same ending, except instead of reading a cookbook, she's hanging out with Fig. Then the two sisters go off to do adventures together. All jokes aside, amazing story overall. It's not as in-depth, but it's definitely quite well done. Cool boy, now that we've cut the fat, let's just jump into the gameplay. SMT games, in my opinion, have had some of the best mechanics, some of the best level designs. Just about every single palace in Persona, every area in SMT feels so unique. There's so much charm, the music, the style, everything is just there. Aside from the normal demon fusion, we now have these things called comps, which are just the different tools used to fight demons. These have perks and upgradable abilities. I found myself messing with my demon's powers as well as my upgrades for hours throughout my campaign. It's always super fun messing with that stuff. We also have these things called Sabbaths. Super simple, you hit an enemy's weakness, You get a freebie basic hit at the end of your turn, which sometimes you can add a little extra hit into it later on in the game as you level up. So the combat is phenomenal as usual, but what about the level design? I hate it so much. Okay, I know the Earth is round, but the Earth in this game is so flat! Good lord. It's an endless barrage of empty, pointless rooms, followed by incredibly long hallways and a million enemy encounters to pad out the runtime of the game. There are literally some rooms that have nothing. The reason for this is because at the start of every dungeon, you send out your demons to scout out treasure, so instead of having cool rooms with puzzles, you have 70 empty rooms where 25 of them might have a demon inside to give you a bottle cap. I nearly fell asleep playing through these levels so many times. At least in Persona 4, I have the character interaction, the cool places to visit when I'm done with the shitty dungeon. But no, there's like 4 shops in total that take 4 loading screens to get to. Like Atlas, baby, you've already perfected this not even a year ago. What the hell happened? So much of this game feels so lazily put together. The side quests are boring and tedious, with very few exceptions. The game had day 1 DLC for $10 called The Lost Numbers, which was fine, but just added a few hard boss fights and a short story I didn't care for. The extra team member doesn't even join your team aside from a few battles. Everything is just such a mess. That doesn't even begin to mention the Axis. It's an area where it's literally just mementos. Persona, except there's a million random teleportation circles. It's boring as hell. I was honestly shocked with how much was poorly done. Like I said, the story overall I adore, but damn it, the level design, the hub world, the side quests, they were all done so poorly. I can't help but have that influence my opinion more than the story. It would make for an amazing anime, but this certainly needed much more time in the oven. Style is the biggest thing I look for in a game. Is the music a pop? How are the character designs? Will this be my desktop wallpaper? Okay, yes and no. I adore these character designs. Some like Arrow have that typical anime feel to them, and other characters like Ringo, Milady, and Saizo are all super unique and well done. The art style is incredible. There are some shots during cutscenes where the colors popped out so much. As for the music, there are some pops, but I'm not gonna lie, not a single song really compares to the other SMT games. There's maybe like 3 vocal tracks, and they're all kind of forgettable. Some of the boss themes are cool, but I'm not gonna be humming these anytime soon. Comparing is inevitable. Playing Street Fighter, I'm gonna think of Marvel vs. Capcom. Not a lot of people, but I do. It's not a bad thing, but in this case, it blows my mind how poorly Soul Hackers 2 compares to its predecessor. The music, the story and gameplay, especially level design, all pale in comparison to games like Persona. Whereas I had high hopes for this game, I came out disappointed. Don't get me wrong, there's an amazing story mixed in, but with all of the crap you have to get through, I unfortunately can't really recommend this unless you are a true dedicated Atlas fan. Like myself, this would make for a fantastic manga depiction or an anime, but for now, I would just wait until Persona 6. Soul Hackers 2 is getting a 2.5 out of 6. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope I earned that sub. Catch me next week for more reviews every week. See ya.